Question number 7, Dr. Kennedy Graham.
Thank you, sir. The question is to the Prime Minister. Does he stand by all his government's policies?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I do. I stand by a 30% emissions reduction target. I stand by a commitment to 90% renewable energy by 2025. I stand by the hundreds of millions we've committed to climate change research and the afforestation. And I stand by a health policy of treating Ebola victims with modern medicine rather than homeopathic remedies.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Dr. Kennedy Graham.
And will he also rule out direct military engagement by New Zealand in Syria, or will he be signing us up to another conflict when he goes to New York next week?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The government's got no intention of expanding its current mandate outside of Iraq.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Dr. Kennedy Graham.
Does the Prime Minister believe that the justification of collective self-defence is viable in Iraq, Syria and Yemen, given the complex and varied situation in all of these three countries?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, as the member said, it's a very complex situation.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Dr. Kennedy Graham.
Given that the United Nations Security Council has not authorised armed force in Syria, will any use of such force there amount to aggression, which is prohibited in the United Nations Charter?
The Right Honourable
Mr
Prime
Speaker,
Minister.
members asking me a hypothetical question on behalf of some nations I can't answer.
Point of order, sir. That's not a hypothetical question. Armed forces being used in Syria.
Order. No. In the benefit of doubt, I'm going to invite that member to repeat the question. So then over to the Prime Minister how he chooses to answer it.
Sure. Given that the UN Security Council has not authorised armed force in Syria, will any use of such force there amount to aggression, which is prohibited in the UN Charter?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, I don't think so. If the member is referring to the airstrikes that are being undertaken by the United States and others to degrade ISIL, I think that is fundamentally the right thing to do. ISIL are the reason why millions of people are leaving Syria. They are people that want to return, and they can only do so when ISIL is not in a position to persecute them.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Dr. Kennedy Graham.
Given that this House resolved over a year ago that New Zealand should quickly ratify the Kampala Amendment, which will make aggression a leadership crime, why has his government not done this yet?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, the member would need to put that question down to the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Question number 8, Jacinda Ardern.
Thank you, Mr.